Cynthia didn't have a penny to her name when my father died. Out of a sense of sisterly duty, I opened my doors to her. I gave her a bed, a key, and my trust. I didn't realize I was inviting a parasite into my veins. It started with the accidents. I'd find my mother's heirloom pearls broken on the floor. Cynthia would wide her eyes, trembling, and whisper, "Oh, Mimi, I was just cleaning them for you. I wanted you to look pretty for Francis tonight. I'm so sorry, I'm such a klutz." Then Francis would walk in and see her crying. He'd glare at me as if I'd just struck a child. "It's just jewelry, Michelle. Why are you making her feel like a criminal? She was trying to help you." God, you're so materialistic, it's disgusting. She didn't just take my things. She took my reputation. At dinner parties in my house, she'd lean toward our friends and stage whisper, "Please don't mention the promotion Michelle lost. She's been struggling mentally lately. We're just trying to keep her calm." I'd walk into the kitchen and the laughter would die instantly. My own friends started looking at me with this sickening mask of sympathy. One night, I found her in the laundry room. She was pouring bleach over my $2,000 presentation suit, the one I needed for the biggest meeting of my career. When I screamed, she didn't flinch. She just stood there and waited. The second she heard Francis's footsteps, she threw herself on the floor, sobbing. Francis didn't even ask what happened. He just shoved me aside to pick her up. He looked at me with pure loathing and said, "Cynthia told me you've been having outbursts at work. Now I see it. You're becoming unstable, Michelle. I can't even recognize the woman I fell in love with. Cynthia is the only one keeping this house together while you lose your mind." The day Francis moved me into the guest room of my own house, I knew I was losing. He told me, "Cynthia says you've been hallucinating that she's stealing your mail. It's getting scary, Mimi. Maybe you should stay in the guest wing until you get your head right." Even after they kicked me out of my own home, the home my father left to me, I still had hope. So when my phone rang at 1 a.m. and I heard Cynthia's voice shaking, saying she was stranded on Blackwood Road and Francis wasn't answering, I didn't hesitate. I thought maybe, just maybe, this was the moment we could fix things. I pulled up, my heart racing. But as I stepped out of the car, I saw it. She was bone dry. Her makeup was perfect. She wasn't a victim. She was a hunter. She looked at my old, beat-up car and laughed a sound like glass breaking. "You really are a pathetic good girl, aren't you? You actually came to save the sister who took your man, your house, and your sanity." I shook as I asked, "Where's Francis? Is he okay?" She stepped closer, her breath smelling like the expensive wine I used to buy. She whispered, "He's at home, Mimi, in our bed, in the house you paid for. He thinks you've been stalking us for weeks, so I told him I'd come handle it quietly. He thinks I'm so brave for dealing with his crazy, obsessed ex-girlfriend." I saw the car coming. I thought she didn't see it. I reached out to pull her back to safety to save her life one last time, but Cynthia was faster. She grabbed my arm with a grip like iron and yanked me directly into the path of the speeding lights. As she shoved me, she leaned into my ear, her voice cold and triumphant. "In the next life, Michelle, don't be so easy to play. Thanks for the house." When I finally opened my eyes, the world didn't rush back, it crawled. I felt like a shattered glass sculpture glued back together by someone who didn't want to lose a single piece. I saw him then, a man with shoulders broad enough to carry the world. He had eyes that looked like they'd seen everything but judged nothing. He didn't rush to me with fake pity. He just sat there, waiting for me to reclaim my own breath. "You've been fighting for 90 days. Most people would have let go after 30. I knew you wouldn't." I tried to speak, but my throat felt like it was filled with rusted nails. I managed one word. "Why?" "Because I was the one behind the wheel. My driver tried to dodge you, but your sister, she made sure the angle was impossible. I've spent 3 months watching your monitors, Michelle. And I've spent 3 months watching her live in your house, spending your money, telling the world you died a confused, jealous woman." He showed me photos, Francis and Cynthia at a gala. She was wearing my mother's favorite necklace. Francis was laughing, looking relieved to be free of his crazy ex. The physical pain of my broken ribs was nothing compared to the acid of that betrayal. I looked at Xander, and for the first time, the monitors spiked. I wasn't just breathing, I was burning. There it is, that fire. "The world thinks you're a tragic accident, Michelle. Let them keep that lie. Let them build their house of cards on the sand of your supposed grave. I will give you the resources, I will give you the name, but you have to provide the iron." Recovery wasn't a miracle, It was a war. Every time my legs gave out, I didn't see a therapist, I saw Cynthia's smirk in the rain. Every time I wanted to give up, I heard Francis's voice calling me unstable. Xander didn't treat me like a victim. When I cried from the pain, he'd say, "Save those tears, use them to fuel the machine you're becoming." He became my shadow, my mentor, my guardian angel with a streak of vengeance. He paid for my exams. He tutored me in the art of the corporate kill. He watched as I transformed from Mimi into my Kella Sterling. By year 3, I had turned his investment into a tech empire. By year 4, I was the one advising him on acquisitions. I studied until I could recite international law in my sleep. I sharpened my mind into a blade that could cut through Cynthia's lies like paper. Then Xander said to me, "You're ready. The foundation is built. Are you ready to go home and burn theirs down?" I looked at the reflection in the glass. I didn't see the girl who ran into the rain to save a viper. I saw the woman who was going to make that viper swallow her own poison. I looked at Xander, the man who stayed loyal when everyone else betrayed me, and I finally smiled. I don't just want to burn it down, Xander. I want to watch them try to save themselves while I hold the match. They were celebrating 5 years of theft, 5 years of living in my father's house, sleeping in my bed, and spending my inheritance. The music was swelling, the laughter was loud, until I stepped into the light. The silence didn't just fall, it crashed. I saw the color drain from Cynthia's face. She dropped her glass, the expensive crystal shattering at her feet. Francis staggered back, clutching the table as if he'd seen a corpse rise from the floor. "And Michelle, no, it's a trick. You're dead." "I did die, Francis. I died to the girl who was stupid enough to love a coward like you. But as you can see, the woman I became is very much alive." Cynthia realized her world was ending, so she went for her only weapon, the damsel act. She threw herself toward Xander with shaking hands. "Sir, this woman, my sister, she's been mentally ill for years. She's dangerous. Please, protect me. You look like such a noble man. Don't let her do this to us." I almost laughed. I watched Xander look down at her hand as if a cockroach had crawled onto his suit. He didn't pull away gently. He stepped back with such coldness that she nearly fell. His voice was like ice. "I've spent 5 years watching you from the shadows, Cynthia. I was the one in the car that night. I saw you shove her. I saw you smirk. And frankly, your acting is even worse than your soul." I let the speakers do the work, the ballroom filled with the sound of the rain from 5 years ago. Cynthia's voice boomed through the hall. "He's in our bed, in the next life. Don't be so easy to play." Then came the visual, the dashcam footage, clear, undeniable. The whole city saw Cynthia's hands on my shoulders, shoving me into the dark. Francis turned on her. "You told me she jumped. You've been lying to me for 5 years. Oh, stop it, Francis. You believed her because it was easier than admitting you were a traitor. You're losing the house, the estate, and your freedom tonight. I've already frozen the accounts. The champagne you're drinking, I paid for it." As the handcuffs clicked around Cynthia's wrists, her screams echoed like a ghost. I stood there, watching her world burn, and for the first time, I felt light. But the trash wasn't fully cleared yet. Francis stumbled toward me, his face a pathetic mask of realization. "Michelle, Mimi, oh God, I was so wrong. She poisoned my mind. I know it's always been you. Let's go home. We can fix this." Xander walked up behind me and placed a firm, possessive hand on my waist. The contrast was almost funny. Francis looked small and desperate. Xander looked like a king. I let out a soft laugh, a sharp, melodic sound that cut the last of Francis's hopes. "Fix this, Francis. Look at yourself. You're a man who needs a woman to tell him who he is. 5 years ago, I would have crawled through glass for you. Today, I wouldn't even step over you if you were on fire." Xander looked at him with pure disdain. "You're a little late, aren't you? A man who only recognizes a diamond when it's in someone else's crown doesn't deserve to hold it. Security will show you to the curb. Your belongings will be sent to the shelter by morning." Xander steered me toward the main stage. The spotlight found us. He took the microphone from the podium where Cynthia intended to give her victory speech. Tonight was supposed to be a celebration of a lie, but instead, it's a celebration of the truth. Today, she is the architect of a new era, the only person I have ever considered an equal. Xander dropped to one knee. A blue diamond caught the light, casting sparks across the room. "Michelle, I don't want to just protect you. I want to build a kingdom with you. Will you be my wife and the true queen of Sterling Global?" I saw Francis being shoved out the door by security, looking back at the life he threw away. I took the microphone. My voice was steady, cold as steel, but warm as a flame. I spent a long time being a girl who waited for a man to choose her. But I've learned that the only person who needs to choose me is me. So Xander, as your partner and your equal, yes. As he slid the ring onto my finger, the room erupted. Confetti intended for Cynthia fell on us instead, shimmering like stardust in my hair. The sweetest revenge? It's standing on the ruins of your enemy's life, holding the hand of the man who helped you build a palace out of the ashes.